Welcome to your Coach's Corner. I'm Frank Barbehenn, and I will be your discipleship coach for this week with your permission. Um, Jumping right in, I've been in practice about 3.5 decades. And over the many years and across many situations, I typically hear that a major goal is the person just wants to be happy. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, I just want to be happy. Or they'll say of their spouse, I just want my wife to be happy. Or for their kids, I just want my kids to grow up happy. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have happiness. We'd be masochistic and idiots if we didn't want to be happy. The problem is that reality mitigates against happiness. We have outright evil that we perpetrate against one another, like the Holocaust, or like Sandusky's sexual abuse of boys. We have lower level evil that we call sin that we perpetrate against one another. We have our own dysfunction. We have our own ignorance and lack of skills. And then if that's not enough, we have suffering and we have trauma. So the goal of happiness is not that realistic. There are too many vicissitudes in the flow of life between people and what we do to one another and what happens in life. We need something bigger. I'd offer for our consideration that we think and focus on joy rather than happiness. Now, joy has a number of dimensions to it: wisdom, character, purpose and meaning, and hope and faith. Now, over a number of weeks, we're going to take that little word joy and we're going to unpack its meaning more. But for today, for this segment, we want to be aware that happiness rides the waves of our circumstances. Happiness are feelings that feel good to us because of the circumstances. Joy, however, is bigger and rides the meaning that we give our circumstances. Joy rides the purposes that we give our lives, not simply tied to the quality of our circumstances. So, if we focus on the meaning of our lives, the purpose of our lives for just a moment, one of the key purposes in our living is to love. Paul says, make love your aim. And there are a number of ways that the apostles refer to that central purpose in our lives. We're called to be transformed from one degree of glory into another, into the image of Jesus Christ. We are called to crucify the old and put on the new. We're called to walk in the Spirit, put on the fruits of the Spirit. If you notice, all the fruits of the Spirit have in common that we are to love. And of course, the greatest commandment is to love. So, what I'd like to do is give you a homework. I'd like to give you a tool that you can use from day to day to day. Now, what I've done over the years, actually I've done it since my 20s, believe it or not, is that when I gear up for my day in the shower, I think about my mission for that day is to love those entrusted to my care. I will think about my wife or my children, now my grandchildren, and I will think about my clients. I will think something very specifically about how I can love somebody entrusted to my care that day. I would offer that tool to you as well, to start your morning with a few moments where you focus on how am I going to love those entrusted to my care, and to pick somebody in particular perhaps that day to advance your ability to love. I don't care what cue you use. I do mine in the shower. But you could have an index card on your nightstand. You could use a Post-it on the mirror. Some folks here in my practice will use a smiley face on the dashboard of their car, and as they're driving, they will gear up that their mission is to love. So that's your tool. That's your homework. If you're game, cue up your day with the focus on learning to love and who am I going to love that day that's entrusted to my care. Well, that's all for now. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at frank@peakperformancediscipleship.com, frank@peakperformancediscipleship.com. See you next week.